NS3 is an open source network simulator that helps model different types of network. Architecture has three layers: standard libraries, core, and network models. The basic NS3 architecture, where the bottom layer was the standard libraries, which included all needed code to implement NS3 programs or to implement any network. On top of that sat the core module, which doesn't have any network related code, but only those codes like timers, random number generators, so on. And above that, we have our network models. And in the network models, I gave you some examples of these network models which are present. This is just a single slide example. There are many more such network modules which you will find when you open the source folder or the source directory in your NS3. Okay. Okay. So these modules available in NS3, you can just have a look at how many modules are there. This is just an example. We have many more modules beyond this. Okay. Everything, almost everything related to networking. Have you heard of AODV? AODV is a wireless routing protocol. We have CSMA, all of you have studied. Okay, carrier sense multiple access protocol, then internet protocol, the IP. For mobility in wireless, we have mobility. All these modules, you can just have a look. Wi-Fi module, point-to-point communication module, LTE, then config store, core module, DSDV. There are a variety of application modules available. Remember, all this is written by the users. So I told you this is open source. Anybody can contribute to this. If you want, there are so many modules which are still not available, or which, especially something related to security. If you wanted to do some security implementation to your networks or protocols, maybe those modules are not, which are not already there, can be implemented by you, and they can be sent to the people maintaining this NS3 software. And once it is tested and once the test is proved, they will include it, and they will completely redo all, they will include that module and rebuild the complete software. Okay. So this is just an example showing what are the different modules available in NS3. All these are ready to use for us. So one main advantage of NS3 is there are almost all ready to use modules which we can directly pick as a class and use it in our application. So when we are building network, you will see, you will directly use those classes. All these modules are used directly. Next. So what is a node? Basically, what is a node in NS3? You can just see here. A node is something like a empty box, your empty box in the computer, or we call it as the husk of the computer. Into this husk, you will load in your network interface card first. You can see at the bottom, we are showing the network interface card. Then we need to put in our kernel. So it can be the Linux kernel, it can be Red Hat, it can be anything. It can be Ubuntu. Then you can put variety of applications on it. The protocol stack needs to be put in. So everything you're going to add. So please remember, when I consider something as a node in NS3, it is just an empty husk or an empty box. There is nothing in the box. So you will start writing your program by taking a node, and into that you will go on adding all these. You will add a net device, which is similar to your network interface card, something like this, NIC card. You will add the IP protocol stack, the complete protocol stack on it. You will add different applications like UDP, TCP, all that. You'll see how we are going to do this. Okay. So example of how data flows in NS3. You can see here, In NS3, the data flow will be starting off with the application layer. There can be many applications running simultaneously. Okay, so there are multiple applications, and we'll have something like a socket API connecting the application to the protocol stack. So you can see below the application, there is the complete protocol stack. Remember, in our TCP IP model, it's a 5-layer model. So there are protocols in each layer, acting in each layer. So the complete protocol stack we are going to install here. And on that, we will put our applications, one or more than one applications. These applications will interact with this protocol stack and other elements through sockets. Okay, what exactly is a socket? I'll let you know as we proceed. And next, after the protocol stack, we'll have the network interface card, which we commonly call as net device. In NS3, we'll name our network interface card or the NIC card as net device. So you can see this whole thing, the darkened thing is a node. So what all the node contains? It contains a NIC card or net device. It contains the whole protocol stack. So in the protocol stack, you will have the MAC layer, the IP layer or the network layer, then the TCP layer, and on that our applications will be written. Okay, so this whole thing will be put onto that empty box or a node. And I have two nodes here. You can see the interaction shown between the two nodes and how they can interact, how two nodes can be connected. It should be through some channel. The channel can be a physical wire, anything, copper cable, optical fiber, or wireless network like your air. So channel is nothing but a medium through which data is made to flow. Okay, so this channel also we have to create in our code. So please remember, all this will be included in our program. Application, the protocol stack, the net device or the network interface card, the channel we are going to create, which type of channel we will choose, we will set the channel parameters, each and everything we are going to do in the program. Next, this is just a sample of how we can check the output. That's another main advantage of NS3. Output can be seen in many different ways. We have one package called as NetAnim. It's a network animator package. So here you can see there is a point-to-point link created between node 0 and node 1. And from here there are, from each of these two nodes, there are many other multiple nodes connected. You can see the address, IP address written at each node. The red dots are the nodes. Okay. And what is written next to that is your IP address, 32-bit internet protocol address, IP address, which we say network layer address. So this whole thing can be animated. We can see packets moving to and fro between the nodes, how it goes in which direction. For a given length of time, we can see the complete animation of data flow in this software. That's one main advantage. So this is the NetAnim output. Other than that, we have something called as PyVis, Python Visualizer. This Python Visualizer is another animation tool where we can visualize the movement of data between the nodes. We can also see something like this. Can you see the details written? This is node 3. So this red dot here represents node 3, and corresponding to node 3, how many network interface cards it has? It has net device 0, net device 1. Two network interface cards are present inside this node 3. Its IP address is shown, its MAC address is shown, what type of network device it is, even that is shown. So net device 1 is a Wi-Fi net device. Net device 0 is a loopback net device. Anyway, we'll study little details of this in theory. Okay. So this is another network animation tool to check the output. And this tool, hello, who's this? Please mute your audios. See here, this is a very useful tool which we are going to use in many places. This is called Wireshark. So Wireshark is a simple tool which can be called in any network device, any device which is connected to the network, and you can clearly see each and every packet which flows into that. Say, suppose you want to check some malfunctioning, some what do you say? Somebody breaches the security in your phone or anything. You just want to check what are all the packets which entered your phone and which went out. You can easily call this Wireshark tool and keep it. Yes, Sushmita. Sushmita, please mute your audio. Hello. See, this Wireshark tool can be installed on your mobile, on your laptop, any device connected to a network. And if you keep it active, you can see each and every packet of data, every byte of data which goes into the device and out of the device. It would be a snooping tool, we call it. It can check and monitor. It will collect all the packets and bytes which flow into and out of the device. And you can go through the whole thing. The whole thing can be monitored through this Wireshark tool. So this is a very useful tool. Other than that, we have something called as GNU plot. This gives us a plot of different things, say throughput versus number of packets, whatever you want. You can plot various elements which you need to measure in the network. Then we have trace metrics. As the name indicates, this is a tool where we can trace what happens at each node. See here, I've shown you an example. Which file is it? We have the file name as cc1.tr, and how many lines on the file? 1816. How many packets are queued? How many total sent out packets, total received packets, how many dropped? For how long we simulated, everything can be obtained. And here also you can see different things. Okay. So I just gave you a sample of how versatile NS3 is and how many ways we can check the output. It is very useful. You can check the output in multiple different ways. Please make a note of this. Structure of a program. First thing what we do, just like any program in C++, we have to include all the necessary header files. Then we will use the NS3 namespace. So NS3 namespace is a place where, just like your C++ namespace or C, it will include all files which can be recognized by NS3. So I'll write a line in code telling using NS3 namespace. Okay. Next, we have to enable logging for our program. So whatever happens in the program, in each of the applications should be saved as a log file. It can be at your console or it can be a separate log file. We can enable either way. Then we'll begin the main function. We'll enable log for different applications. Say I'm running two applications. One is a UDP application, another is TCP. I will enable this logging feature for both. So enable logging means I will know how many packets have been sent by the TCP application, at what time, all that. Everything will be stored in those log files. As you know, log files are to keep track of what is happening. Next, what you'll do, you'll create the nodes. Remember, node is an empty box. And once these nodes are created, we should go on adding one by one. We'll create a channel to connect two different nodes, either two or multiple nodes. We can create the channel as a medium, and we have to set the attributes in the channel. So what are the different attributes? Like the bandwidth of the channel, the data rate, the queue size, we are going to set everything for the given channel. Then we will create the net device or the network interface card. So remember, your network interface card is the physical device which exists in your in your laptop or in your desktop, which is connected to the network. If you have to connect it to the network, it should compulsorily have a NIC card, network interface card. So we should include that in the nodes. Next, we have to put the protocol stack on all the devices. So remember, we are going to have multiple nodes. Say if I have two nodes, on both the nodes I will install the TCP IP protocol stack. Remember, the protocol stack will include the MAC layer, the network layer, and the transport layer. The 3-layer stack we are going to include. Then we have to fix the network address for each device. And once we fix the network address, we have something called as subnet mask, which we will be studying in our next chapter. I will elaborate on that when we do it in theory. So just understand for now, the network address for every node should be fixed. Next, you have to create interfaces and assign the IP address to each interface. I showed you something called as net device. Every net device is an interface. You remember in the output I showed you loopback net device, Wi-Fi net device, Ethernet net device. So every network device is a NIC card. It should have a separate IP address. We have to assign that IP address manually in our program. Next, we have to install the applications. So what have we done now? We have taken an empty box, the node called as node. Then we have created the channel to help two nodes talk between themselves. Two nodes connect to each other, and we have set the attributes of the channel. In the sense, what type of channel it should be, what type of topology you should use, all that we will choose. So for the channel, we will set all the parameters like bandwidth, queue size, everything. Next, what we'll do, we will put in the NIC cards in the node, network interface cards. After that, we will install the protocol stacks on the nodes so that the complete protocol stack is installed and ready to use. Then we will set the address. We will assign the addresses, network addresses. For every NIC card or every interface should have a separate IP address. After that, we will install the applications. A TCP application or a UDP application is installed on the node. Then we will set a time to start the application and stop the application. And finally, we will run the simulation. And one thing you remember, in NS3, memory is allocated dynamically. It's not static allocation. In the sense, the variables are created at runtime and memory is allocated dynamically. So in the end, we can release resources. Whatever was allocated for our simulation, we can just release those resources. Oh, this is the basic way of how we are going to write an NS3 program. I'll brush in 2 or 3 slides the C++ concepts for those of you who don't know. Anyway, in C++, we have classes and objects. Object is physical as well as a logical entity, whereas class is only a logical entity. So it doesn't exist physically. Class is a blueprint which is containing only list of variables and method. And remember, no memory is allocated for a class, but for objects, memory is allocated. Okay. So a class will include a group of objects which have common properties. So in a C++ class, the following members are included. The following properties are there. A data member will be present, method, a constructor, block, class and interface. And object, we know it's an instance of a class, or it is a example of a class. It is a way of class which will have states and behaviors and identities. So object in C++ has a state, a behavior, and an identity. You can just see in this table, I've mentioned some basic differences between class and objects. So as I told you, class is just a container with collection of variables and methods. Object is an instance of a class. No memory is allocated for class at time of declaration, whereas for objects, we have to allocate sufficient memory for each object when we declare it. And for one class, there can be multiple objects, but a class is defined only once. Example, a class with some name, the members are included, methods are included, and this is how we declare a class. This is another example where we are talking of a class of type employee. We have included some public variables like salary, which is an integer. It is a data member. This is one type of data in the class. Here we are taking a function and we are just writing a simple program to enter salary of each person. And in the main function, I will declare two objects of type employee. E1 and E2 are two objects of type employee, and they will have all the properties, like this salary is a main property of this class employee. These objects will include all these properties in the class. So this is how we use. What are the basic abstractions in this NS3? Please understand these things and remember. First level of abstraction is a node. As I told you till now, node is an empty shell or a box which is representing any networked device. So a node is an empty box representing any network device. Next is application. Application class provides methods for managing any user level application. A TCP application, I want to say browsing application, I want to create a browser, or I want to just create a file transfer application. For any application, I'm going to make use of this application class. Example, this is how we define. One important thing you should remember in NS3 is we use something known as camel casing. What is this camel casing? You see, we are going to write the names of classes or anything, objects. Objects anyway is our choice. Classes and the basic elements in NS3 namespace will be written in camel casing, meaning we are going to combine every word and each word begins with a capital letter. Just notice this. UDP echo client application. UDP, U starts with capital. Echo is attached to UDP. E starts with capital. Client, C starts with capital A. So this is known as camel casing and this is used in NS3. Please remember this. Unless you write this correctly, NS3 namespace will not recognize a class or module. Okay. So channel, what is a channel? The physical medium which we are going to create for communication between nodes. So if you have created two or multiple nodes, they need to talk to one another through a channel. So a channel class, all these classes we are going to use. So node class, application class, channel class. It provides methods for managing communication subnetwork objects and connecting nodes to them. So, example, CSMA channel. Okay, can you see here? CSMA channel where you can have point-to-point channel or Wi-Fi channel. All this talks about the different types of channel classes which we are going to use in NS3. Next is net device. As I told you, your network interface card or the NIC card is called as net device. Unless you have this card, you can't communicate. So NIC hardware and the corresponding software, the drivers, remember, along with your NIC card, you have to have device drivers if you have to install it. So just putting it in your system will not connect you to the net. You have to have all the drivers. So everything put together, the hardware and the related driver software, everything put together is coming under the class net device. So you see, we have different types of net device. A CSMA net device, where it is a CSMA type of network interface card. Point-to-point net device means a point-to-point topology network interface card. Wi-Fi, a wireless network interface card will be used. Again, please notice the camel casing. So these are some important abstractions in our NS3. Other than that, we have something which is very, very useful and helpful in NS3 programs. They are known as topology helpers. So what this topology helper does, it combines all distinct operations like creating this net device, adding the MAC address to that net device into a ready-made, easy to use model for us. So I need not do every task separately. If I use a topology helper, it will automatically do some inbuilt functions ready. It will keep the MAC address readily installed on your NIC card. I need not put in the MAC address separately. I need to put in only the IP address. So there are some set of functions which are inbuilt, and for that we already have some classes. They have already written the code in these classes. Those classes, when I use in the program, all those classes are called topology helpers. So you will see we will be using these helper classes in our program often. Okay. So let's start our first program. Implement a point-to-point network having 4 nodes with duplex links between them. So there should be 4 nodes as I've shown in this PyWiz simulated diagram. There are 4 nodes, and between each of the 2 nodes there is a duplex, full duplex point-to-point network, point-to-point link or channel. You should analyze the network performance by setting queue size and also vary the bandwidth. So I'll just show you the network diagram clearly. So this network diagram, as I told you, all these circular dots indicate nodes. We should create a network having 4 nodes, 1, 2, 3, 4, and connect every 2 nodes through point-to-point channels. So I'm using these links. The lines here indicate the channel or the link connecting 2 nodes. So this is a point-to-point channel. This is another point-to-point channel. This is a third point-to-point channel. We have 3 point-to-point channels connecting the 4 nodes. Next, every node we will install net devices or network interface cards and interfaces. Every interface will be allocated an address. So please understand this addressing here. This channel, this first point-to-point channel, I've written here P2P link or P2P channel, point-to-point channel between node 1 and node 2 is given a base address 10.1.1.0. Remember, this is a 32-bit IP address. So the base address of this channel is 10.1.1.0, and this base address will not be or should not be used for the interfaces. So there are 2 interfaces for this point-to-point link. One interface at node 1. That interface we are going to give the first address in this set. So this will indicate the set of addresses which can be used by the devices here. So we have only 2 devices. So the first 2 addresses are opted. See here, the change is only in the last digit. You can observe the first address given here to interface 1 is 10.1.1.1. The base address is 10.1.1.0. The first interface address, which is in node 1, is given 10.1.1.1. So the first 3 bytes, 10.1.1, will remain the same. We shouldn't change that. That is decided by a mask. Anyway, for now you understand, we don't change the first 3 bytes. We change only the last byte. And the first number after this 0 is 1. That is allocated to the first interface which is present in node 1. Now, the other interface will be present in node 2. The other network interface card is present in node 2, and when it belongs to the same point-to-point link, it belongs to the same point-to-point channel, it will get allocated the second IP address, which is 10.1.1.2. So, please understand this carefully. The first point-to-point link here between node 1 and node 2 will be given a base address 10.1.1.0. So this base address should not be assigned to any of the interfaces. So since it is a point-to-point link, it will have one network interface card in node 1. The other network interface card will be there in node 2. Okay. So the first NIC card will get the first address after 0, that is 10.1.1.1, and the second interface card which is there in node 2 will get the second address 10.1.1.2. Likewise, there is another point-to-point link between node 2 and node 3. As you can notice here, node 2, node 3, there's another point-to-point link. And what is the base address of that link? As you can see, the base address of this link is 10.1.2.0. This we are choosing. We are assuming these base addresses. Okay. We will allocate it in the program. So if this point-to-point link has this base address, remember it will have two interfaces. One present at node 2, the other present at node 3. The one present at node 2 will get the first address, which is 10.1.2.1. I told you the address immediately after the base address is given to the first interface. And that first interface address is 10.1.2.1. And the second interface which is there in node 3. So every point there should be an interface to connect. So this connection card which is there in node 3 will get the second address 10.1.2.2. Remember, again the first 3 bytes of the base address are retained. There is a change only in the last byte or the least significant byte of the address. Last case, a third point-to-point link is installed between nodes 3 and 4. As you can see here, this is node 3 and this is node 4. The base address assigned to this point-to-point link is 10.1.3.0. So what will be the address at this interface? It will be 10.1.3.1, and the one at this last interface which is there at node 4 will be 10.1.3.2. Now I hope you are able to visualize the actual network. So the actual networks looks something like this. 4 nodes, 3 point-to-point links between those nodes, and at each node the interfaces and their addresses. This is how it is assigned. So now we'll start off with our program. So in between the program, I'll be writing explanation and comments so that you'll understand. So the first few lines, as in any C++ program, remember our coding is in C++. NS3, the basic language used is C++ only. All include files. So whenever I write the include files, remember I am using the NS3 namespace. That's why we say include under NS3 which modules. I showed you different modules which are present in NS3 in the beginning, one slide. Core module, remember core module has all random number generators, timers, that type of programs. Network module, where we can implement different types of network related code. Okay. So internet module, whenever I have to put the internet stack, I need this internet module. Everything .h. All these are header files. Next, since I'm using a point-to-point connection between different nodes, a point-to-point channel, there is a header file called point-to-point module. I'll include that. For any applications to be implemented, we have to put or include applications module. And for traffic to be generated, I want to generate some traffic, control the flow of packets. I have to put a traffic control module in the headers. So please remember, these are some of the basic header files which we are going to use in any NS3 program. Okay. So if I don't want a point-to-point link, if I want a CSMA module, then I'll include NS3 CSMA module.h if you are putting a different type of link. So there are changes. These first three will be there in everything. The last two will be there. There can be change only in this, and I can have some more new header files present. So all these NS3 include header files are placed in the in a directory known as NS3, and this will be built whenever we compile and build our program. Okay, so the next line in our NS3 program is this. As I told you, using namespace NS3. So here we are specifying that we are implementing this NS3 program in a C++ namespace which is called NS3. Okay, so that we are going to specify. Next, we write NSLog component define first script example. Anyway, this is whatever name you want to give to the file is optional. So you're enabling a file by name first script example, where you're going to keep a log of all the things which happen when you run the program. So it allows us to enable and disable support message logging by reference to the name. Okay, so this is basically for logging options. Next, we'll begin with the main program. Int main, I'm passing two arguments. One is argc, which is an integer. The other is a pointer argv. It's a variable. This is mainly to enable command line arguments. Whenever we want to control the data or the variables in the program through a command line, I have to pass these two parameters. So, and the code will look something like this. Command line, I told you camel casing. So we use combined words. Command line are two words, but we use combined words without spacing. But every new word will start with a capital letter. That is called camel casing. So command line command. So this is a class known as command line. We have a ready-made program written to take command line inputs which we type at the console and work on it, process it. So I'm just calling that class. I'll call the class command line and I declare an object of type CMD, and from that object we'll do a parse operation and pass the same arguments. So remember, these arguments argc and argv are obtained from our command line. So we are trying to pass some parameters where we want to control the variables. So we will pass it into the program and we are parsing through that. So simple, these statements are needed if you want to do any control through your command line in your Linux or Ubuntu. So remember, you have the terminal or console. From there, at the command line, you want to control some values, then you have to include these things. Then remember, in the previous slide, we had enabled logging of the complete program. Here we are enabling logging of the applications. I'll be using two applications in this program. One is called the UDP Echo Client application and the other is UDP Echo Server application. So when we use these two applications, we have to enable logging for each of these applications at the command prompt. Then you just write these two statements. Log component enable. What you want to enable? You want to enable this application, UDP. These first two lines are compulsory if we have to control our arguments and pass parameters through a command line. The next two lines are needed. Remember, please understand what is needed so you can skip some lines when you are writing the program. So these two lines, the next two lines are needed if we want logging at our console. Console is the point, the terminal where you run the code. So I'll show you how it looks. See here. This is the place. Okay. So this is an example of our logging. You see, when we run the program, it will clearly show what is happening at the application. At time 2 seconds, client sent 1024 bytes to, this is the IP address of the server and the port number where we are sending. At time 2.037 seconds, server received so much. From where? From the client. IP address of the client and the port number from where it is sent is shown. So what happens in the application, step by step, the running will be logged. This will happen when we write these two lines. If I enable this log component, I've enabled both for UDP Echo Client application and the Echo Server. So both client and server will be, whatever they are doing, it will be logged at the terminal. So the place where you run the code, it is, the logging is happening there itself. I've enabled that logging by using those two lines. Hope you understood what it means. Next is we have to create a node. I already told you what is a node, so I'll not go through this again. Node is basically a computing device which is connected to a network. So node class here means managing the representation of computing devices. A node is a simple computer. I also told you what are topology helpers. So please understand this. It may take many distinct NS3 core operations to create a net device, to create MAC address, install the net device in the node and all that. Put it in the channel, connect the channel. All this we can do easily without writing any extra code. The code for all this is already available if I use a topology helper. You will see how this topology helper works in the next set of codes. See here now. I am continuing with the program. Node container. This node container is a class. It is a topology helper here. It is a low-level application. Node container. It's like a container to hold the nodes. It's a box where you can keep the nodes. Okay. So I need a place to keep the various nodes which I simulate inside my network. I'll make a node container for that. So node container is the class. It is just a holder, and nodes is the user defined name for the object. Node container class, we invoke it from NS3. It's already predefined, and the object name you are going to give. Nodes I'm calling. So now I have used this topology helper. Node container is a helper which will make a big container, and in that it will keep some nodes. And how many nodes I want to create, I'll give in the next line. So if I want to create 4 nodes, remember in our program we had to create 4 nodes. So what is the way you write it? Nodes is an object. the name of the object is nodes. I'll say nodes dot create. How many? 4 nodes. I want to create 4 nodes. So I'll use this object name and I'll create 4 nodes. So you just see how helpful this topology helper is. I need not write any extra code telling I create a box, create a node with this and all that. You just prepare a container and you just use that class. This class is readily available. You just invoke it and give an object, allocate an object to that class. And from that object, you write the code to create how many ever nodes you want. Okay. Similar to this, next, now 4 nodes are created. Remember, these 4 nodes are just empty boxes. There is nothing in that. I told you how we do a network. First create empty boxes. Now we have created 4 empty boxes. And all these 4 empty boxes are present in a node container. Okay. Now, in every box, in each of these empty boxes, I have to install the internet stack. So to install that TCP IP stack or the internet stack, I'll use a ready available class which is called internet stack helper. So this is another topology helper class. Internet stack helper is the name of the class which will create the internet stack. Okay, and I will declare an object name with name stack. The name of the object is stack. I'm using the class internet stack helper which is available in NS3. So what is the job of this internet stack helper? It will create an internet stack. So with different layers, the MAC layer, the network layer, the transport layer. So it will create a stack with different layers and it keeps it ready for us. And when I declare an object with the name stack, it is present and I want to install these stack on all the 4 nodes. So what I'll do, I'll use the object name and I'll use the command install. So to see what all commands are available, you can easily use NS3 help. So in NS3, you can just click help and you will be seeing all this. Anyway, I can't demonstrate the whole thing here because I'm working in Windows. Yes. Hello. See here. So now we have created 4 empty nodes and then we have installed the TCP IP stack, the internet stack on all the nodes. So install is a method. Create is a method in C++ or NS3. I'm using the object name with the method name to do the required task. So nodes.create, as it indicates, it will create 4 nodes. Stack.install will install the internet stack on all the nodes. Where it installs? In the argument what we give on all the 4 nodes which we have created. Next, channels. I already told you what are channels. Anyway, I'll skip this. We'll go to the code. Here, I have to first create a channel and set the properties of the channel. As I told you, topology helpers are available for everything. It's a great help for me to use the available topology helpers. Okay. So in the video which I show while demonstrating the output, I'll show you where all this is available and how you can search for more. Okay. So I think once the time is over, we'll just log out and log in into the same thing. I have to finish explanation of this program today. Okay. I'll also show you how the output will be. So I think another 3 minutes or so, I'll just finish this slide. So for the channel to be created, remember point-to-point channel should be created between each of the 2 nodes. So for that, I'll use point-to-point helper. Again, you see the camel casing. Please notice the camel casing. Point-to-point point-to-point helper is the topology helper available, and I'll use that class. This is a class. What is written in green here is a class, and what I've written in red is the name what I have given. You can give any simple name P2P. Just say P2P. It's the name of the object. You have created an object point-to-point of class point-to-point helper. So now you have created a point-to-point channel, and in that point-to-point channel, I want to set the different attributes or properties. Attributes means properties. So first, there are some device attributes and some channel attributes. You see how it is done. So I'll take the object name. The object has been created. Point-to-point is the name, and the method you're going to call, which is the method set device attribute. So in the device attribute, we have something called as data rate. If you go for help, you'll see what are the other available device attributes. Data rate is one of the attributes. I'll be setting this data rate to a value 5 Mbps. We can change this if you want. So you can set data rate to 3 Mbps, 1 Mbps, whatever you want. And this is how you use the method. So you use the method name and search in help. It will tell you what are the arguments it takes and how you should specify. Next, the same object again, point-to-point object. I should set the channel attribute. Here I set the device attribute. Next is channel attribute. The main attribute in the channel which I am interested in is the delay. I'll set this delay to 4 milliseconds. It's the propagation delay of the channel. That point-to-point channel propagation delay will be 4 milliseconds. And lastly, I'll set the queue. So this is also a device attribute. Like set device at set queue, it's given directly. In this point-to-point channel, I can give the type of queue and what is the maximum size of the queue. So I'm going to use something called as a drop tail queue, which means if I specify the size of the queue as 10 packets, if an 11th packet comes, it will drop that 11th packet. So whichever packet comes at the end, at the tail, it's going to drop that. That's a drop tail queue. Okay. So we'll use the type of queue as drop tail queue and the max packet value, the number of packets in the queue as 10 packets. U integer value 10. We'll enable logging of applications. Then I showed you how it looks. Then we'll create a node using topology helpers. So you see, we create a node container is the topology helper which holds the nodes. And then we'll create 4 nodes using the method create 4. Then we will install the internet stack or the IP stack on all the 4 nodes by using the internet stack helper class, create an object of type stack, and then we'll use a method called install, stack.install. Where should I install the stack? On all the nodes. Next, channels. We have to create channels. Point-to-point channel we are going to use between each pair of nodes. So for that, I'm going to use a point-to-point helper and declare an object of type point-to-point. And from that object, I will be able to set device attribute, which is the data rate, to 5 Mbps, channel attribute, which is the delay, to 4 milliseconds, and queue size to 10 packets. And we'll use a drop tail queue where if it exceeds 10 packets, it will drop. It will leave out the 11th packet which enters the queue. It simply drops the packet. We'll be losing it. You'll see it in the example when we run the program. So this is the next step. After this, address assignment. So remember we have put the what we have created empty nodes. On the nodes we have installed the stack and we have set the device and channel attributes. Now we have to assign the IP addresses to various interfaces. So for that, I have a helper class known as IPv4 address helper available. So use this IPv4 address helper class. Just invoke that and declare a object of type address. This name is optional. You can give whatever name you want here. So this is compulsory. Whatever is available, you have to use. So IPv4 address helper is the name of the class, which will help me to assign and manage addresses. So I'll call that class and I'll declare an object with name address. Next, as we did before, we'll use the object name and we'll use a method. We'll call a method. What is that method? It's called set base. What will it do? It will set the base address for the link. So in the first point-to-point link, if you remember in the diagram, I showed the base address is 10.1.1.0. So I have to specify what is the address of the first point-to-point link between node 1 and node 2, or node 0 and node 1, whatever you want you can call. And this is the mask. I told you don't worry much, but if you notice in the mask, the first 3 bytes are 255, which means the first 3 bytes here will be retained as it is without any change for all the interfaces which we are going to use in that link. In that link, if I have more than one interface, it will be, the change will be only in the last byte of the address, because there we have given a 0 value here. Okay. So this is how we are going to assign the addresses. So I'll use a method called as set base address, and I'll set the base address of the first link at 10.1.1.0. Now I should assign the addresses to the two interfaces at the two ends of that first link. One end will be there in node 0, the other end will be there in node 1. Okay. So for that, I'll use a class known as IPv4 interface container. As I told you, this is another helper class which will create a container to hold the network interface cards. So whatever network interface cards we are going to create, that will be kept in a container. Okay, a container will hold everything, and the name of the object I am giving it as interfaces. So I'll create an interface container and I'll create objects with name interfaces, and here itself I'm assigning, I'll use a method called address.assign. Remember what is address? Address is the object for IPv4 address helper. So if I have to assign IPv4 addresses, the IP addresses for the interfaces, I'll use this object address and I'll use a method called as assign. What it does, it assigns the addresses to the devices. The devices are created in this helper. So the interface container, I'll create interfaces. They are named as devices, and on, remember, I'll install two devices, one at each end of the first point-to-point link. The first device will get the address immediately next to this base address 10.1.1.1. The second one will get the address 10.1.1.2. So this simple one line in the program will do all that job for us directly. I need not write specifically. If I had to do all this on my own in C++, I had to write at least 5 to 6 lines or nearly 8 to 10 lines of code. Now, just using this helper class and using this method address.assign, it will automatically do that job. Similarly, here I'll say IPv4 address helper address. It's the same slide. Next, we have to install net devices. As I told you, network interface card hardware is called a net device along with its software. So where do I interface this net device? Net device container. Net device container is the helper class and the object name is devices. And on these devices, I'm going to install the addresses, And where am I going to install the two devices? I'll install it on either end of the point-to-point link. So if you remember, I had node 0 here, node 1 here, and say this is node 0, this is node 1. There was a point-to-point link between these two. Okay. And I want to put one network interface card, one device here. I'll put one device here, the second device on this here. And that's what we mean by this. So one container will contain both these devices. Both the net devices will be present in a container known as devices. And what am I going to do it? Use in these devices, I will install the devices where in the point-to-point link between two nodes, nodes dot get of 0. When I say get of 0, it is this node, 0th node, and nodes dot get of 1. It is the first node. So I'll put one interface device in node 0 and another interface device in node 1 by doing this line. So with this line of code, you're just installing two network interface cards. One device on node 0, one device on node 1 with this example. Okay. So next, I'll show you in the simulation how it looks. See here at node 0, this is node 0. There are two net devices created. The first one is called a loopback net device. We'll not worry about this now. This should be there in every node will have a loopback device. It is automatically installed and the install method will take care of installing this. So every node will have a loopback device, and what is the use of that loopback device we will discuss in theory. And the device what we installed, what is of interest to us now is this net device 1. So it is showing, when I keep my pointer here, it will show net device 1. What type of net device? It's a point-to-point net device. So point-to-point network interface card I'm putting, and look at the IP address assigned to that card, 10.1.1.1. So this interface here at this end, what I have, this interface, see here, this interface, this point will get the address 10.1.1.1. And the MAC address, remember, is a what? 48-bit address, which is automatically created. All this will be automatically created by the helper which we use. Okay. So this is how it works. Just like that, I have pointed the mouse at node 1. You see in node 1, it has created 3 net devices. Can you see here? At node 1, 3 net devices. I told you a loopback device will be created in every node. It is compulsory. What is of interest to us is net device 1 and net device 2. Net device 1 will be created at this point for this point-to-point network. For point-to-point network 1, net device 1 will be created. And it's interesting to look at the address. The address is 10.1.1.2. If you remember, this interface at this end had the address 10.1.1.1. Now the other end, the network interface card here has the address 10.1.1.2. And with the other, I'll write the next line of the code. I will install another point-to-point channel here, and again 2 net devices. One net device here and one net device here. This interface, remember the base address for this, I'm going to use 10.1.2.0. So this is the base address for this link. So what is the address this interface will get? This interface I was telling you, this device, node 1 here, will have 3 compulsory net devices. Net device 0 is compulsory for every node. Loop back net device we call it as. It is there in every node. And net device 1 is due to the first point-to-point network between node 0 and node 1, which will get the address 10.1.1.2 here. And net device 2 here is this one. This is net device 2. It will get the first address. Okay. It will get the first address of the second point-to-point link, which is 10.1.2.1. Remember, this point-to-point link will have the base address 10.1.2.0. So 2.1 will be the address given to this device. And likewise, if I just move on. So I'll show you. You can see here. We are, as I told you, just like how we did here, after we installed this, we can again set the what? This set attribute, set device attribute, channel attribute, queue length, everything is done. And I can skip all this. I have already done that. What I'm going to do next, I'll repeat this sentence, the same statement which I used here. What is that? Devices is equal to point-to-point dot install, and that point-to-point network or point-to-point link was installed between nodes 0 and 1. Next, I'll install the same thing between nodes 1 and 2. You can see point-to-point dot install, where I'm going to install the point-to-point link between nodes 1 and 2. So this one, this link. And if I point at node 2, you will see it will also have 3 net devices. The net devices are net device 0, loopback device inbuilt, net device 1, which will be at this point. So this is net device 1, which will belong to the second point-to-point link. This is net device 2 here, the last one which is mentioned, which is the third point-to-point link. And when we assign the addresses, this will get the address. This one, net device 1 will get the address, which is the second address of this point-to-point link, 10.1.2.2. And this will get the net device 2 will get the the first address, which is 10.1.3.1. So please remember, in the first diagram I had shown, the base address of the third one is 10.1.3.0. So this will get the address 10.1. Let's just continue. So we'll repeat the statements which we had done for the first point-to-point link. That's what I wanted to show you. See, this statement is repeated. Devices equal to point-to-point, install it on nodes 1 and 2. And next, what should I do? I'll install it between nodes 2 and 3. And for the, I have to set the base address of the second point-to-point link, address.setBase 10.1.2.0. And on all the interfaces, you should assign those addresses. So 10.1.2.1 and 10.1.2.2 will be assigned to the second point-to-point link. So these things are optional. You need not repeat it. If you want to change any of the parameters like data rate, delay, or the queue size between the second point-to-point link, you need to repeat these instructions. Okay, sorry, there is so much of disturbance again and again. Let me just proceed through this. So what I was trying to tell you is, you just repeat the statements where you install the point-to-point link on each of the nodes, 0 and 1 first, then 1 and 2 next, then 2 and 3 last, and set the base address for each. For the first link, you set the base address as 10.1.1.0. For the next one, 10.1.2.0. For the third one, 10.1.3.0. And finally, you will use this assign method to assign the addresses on the devices. So once that is done, we'll use something called as a rate error model. Again, these 4 lines are optional. If you want to induce some error, you want to see drop of packets, then you can use these things. Yes, Rishabh? Please tell me. You have some doubt, Rishabh? I think there is a continuous disturbance and it's getting every time this is just logging out. So please see here. Okay. So just see, these are 4 statements and depending on how the coding, I told you it is open source code and the contribution in this NS3 has come from many people. Some people have created classes proper. So in all the previous cases, we could use those classes. Okay. So all the classes I told you, topology helpers, net device container, all those classes I could use directly. But some people have created error model, which is in a still basic form. I have to use a pointer to invoke that. So it is called rate error model, where we induce errors. We will create object of type EM. I'll name the object as EM or error model, and I can set the attribute, which is the error rate, to some value. So the error rate is fixed at 0.001. So this is optional, I told you. If you want to induce error, you need to use this. And where am I going to put this model? I'll put it in the first point-to-point link, which is between node 0 and node 1. You see here, devices.get0. I will install this receiver error model with pointer value EM. EM is the object. And at get1. So get0 and get1 represent my first point-to-point link between nodes 0 and 1. There I'm installing an error model with an error value 0.001, which means out of every 1000 bytes, 1 byte can be dropped in that case. It can be in terms of bits or bytes. Anyway, finally, we have to install the applications, for which you see, I need to route the packets. What is, how do we send the packet from node 0 to node 1, from node 1 to node 2, for which we need a routing table. And for that, I will use the available class IPv4 Global Routing Helper. This IPv4 Global Routing Helper is a class which will help create a routing table, a standard routing table. And to this, I will just use the method populate routing tables. It will automatically do the routing. Now we are not bothered about which type of routing we are going to do. If you just write this statement, it will automatically do the routing. Next, now we will start with the applications. We have this echo application. What is an echo application? Echo application means you send one packet from client to server. The server will reply back with another packet. So that is echo. It will echo back the same packet. It's like when you talk, you receive an echo. It's the same thing. You send a packet, you receive back that packet. That's called an echo application. So we are going to run that application here. So first I will install the server. I'll start the server application, and this uses UDP or user datagram protocol in the transport layer. So it is called UDP Echo Server Helper. That is the class, and the object is Echo Server. This is a name what I have given. So, and I have to mention the port number where this application should run. Generally, this application should run on port 9. So at the server, I'll give that port number. So I have invoked this topology helper class. For which application? The UDP echo application. And on the server, I want to install it on the server first, or start the server. So I called this UDP echo server helper, and now I will create an application container. Remember the different containers we created. We created a node container, then we created a net device container or a device container, to node container to hold nodes, the net device container to hold the net devices or the. So as I told you, this UDP echo server helper will install an echo application on the server on port number 9. And there we need to have a container to hold the applications. We call it as application container. The class name is application container and the object name is server apps. I'm going to name the object as server apps, and there itself I will use the method to install the server app. Where am I going to put the server? I'll put it on node 3, the last node. Okay, the bottommost node is node 3. I'll install the server on node 3. I'll start the server application at 1 second and stop it after 10 seconds. Okay, now the client application. So I've finished with the server. Now I have a class by name UDP echo client helper for the echo application. And this is the class and this is the object. Echo client is the name of the object. And where am I going to install this echo client application? I'll put it on the interface, first interface of node 1. Or when I say get address of 1, it will get me the first interface of node 0. So node 0 acts like the client, node 3 acts like the server. So the first one is the client, the last one is the server. The port number at the server where it should reach is 9. Port number of the client we don't define, it will choose automatically. All this you will see when you see the video of how this runs. Then we can set some attributes in the applications. The max packet size, I put it to 500 packets. It can be anything other than that, 1000, 5 packets, whatever. Then the interval between sending two different packets, 0 seconds or 1 second, whatever you want. Then you can, usually we make it 5 packets and 1 second. The size of each packet I am defining here, echo client dot set attribute 1024 bytes. Every packet has 1024 bytes. Now, where am I going to install this client? I'll install it in get of 0 or node 0. So node 0 is the client, node 3 is the server. Now I should start the client after I start the server. So I'll start the client at 2 seconds and I'll stop it after 10 seconds. Next, in the end, what we'll do, if I want to see this, I want to use trace metrics, which is a way of checking the output. Then I have to use this helper. ASCII trace helper is a helper class to enable storing traces of all files. And I want to enable this ASCII trace file here. I'll give a file name ccn1.tr. So that will save a trace of all what we have run. It will store a log of all that information known as trace file in this document ccn1. In document name ccn1, it will keep track of everything, whatever is sent. The last part of this program 1 is to run the code. I'll have to call the method called simulator run. Then I told you we have dynamic allocation of memory. We should do simulator destroy. And as usual, I have used int main, so I will return 0 and end. So this is the end of the code. To run the program, what are the commands you use? /waf to build the project. You give /waf -- run and name of the file. It will run the program. And if you want to visualize using PyVis, you add -- viz to this. All this of how to run the program I have saved in a video, which I will share immediately after this. So please go through the complete program in the manual. I hope all of you. Initially, when I do only this /waf -- run, and I'll give the name of the file name, say ns1 is the name of my program, you'll get this. It will display how the data was transmitted by the client, when the server received it, and what. Remember, the server is going to echo back that data. It's going to send it back to the client. So server sent again 1024 bytes to the client at this port. Server's port number is 9. So this will be displayed in the log. All this I showed you how we can see all that by using the mouse. And if I want to check a routing table which is created, you right click here, you have the option show IPv4 routing table. It will show that. Or if you want to see the characteristics of what is the data passing through the different interface, you click this. When you click show interface characteristics, it will open up a window like this. See here, statistics for node 0. It will give you the name of the interface, how many bytes were transmitted, how many were received, the rate at which it was transmitted and received. Similarly, if I open the routing table, you'll see this window. So all this, when I run, you're seeing the packets flowing. The green arrows here indicate once I have run, I've taken a screenshot. You see this green arrow showing running of this and at what rate it is passing. And see all these interface statistics for node 0, node 1, node 2, node 3. I had opened everything before running or before simulation. Everything is saved here. You see how it is populated. How many bytes were sent, how many were received, everything is populated. This is the animation which you will see in PyVis. Finally, if you use trace metrics, you will see something like this. So I'll share the video for both these things, which you can study